Hey guys, imagine having a personal assistant who's on call 24/7, manages your emails, updates your tasks, and frees up your time all without you lifting a finger. Sounds like a dream, right? Well, today, that dream becomes a reality. We're diving into a full course on how you can create your very own AI agent using Make.com. And this AI agent will live right inside your Slack workspace, ready to handle tasks across Notion, Google Calendar, and email. Whether you're looking to supercharge your productivity, automate your workflows, or become a maestro of AI-driven automation, this course has got you covered. We'll break down every step so you can implement this and start seeing results immediately. Are you ready to revolutionize the way that you work? Let's get started. So first of all, thanks for coming back and a big welcome to all of our new subscribers joining us today. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Jake Dawson, and I'm here to bring you the latest in AI sales, automation, and workflow hacks in a way that's easy to apply and understand. And as always, remember that everything we cover here is to help you succeed. These are not just theories, but actionable strategies that you can use right now. Now, if you're new here or looking for more ways to level up, don't forget to check out the school community link below. Inside, you'll find exclusive Make.com templates, including the one that we're using today, that you can import directly and start using immediately. We've built a whole space for learners and doers just like you, where you can ask questions, get direct help, and connect with like-minded folks ready to take action. And of course, you can always subscribe and hit that bell button to get notified of our bi-weekly videos, live sessions, and more. Let's jump right in. All right, today we're going to build something really exciting, an AI agent that lives right inside your Slack workspace. This little helper will automate tasks across Notion, Google Calendar, and your email. Imagine being able to say, "Hey, AI buddy, summarize my emails," or "add this task to Notion," and it just happens. No more switching between apps or getting lost in endless tabs. Sounds good, right? Well, by the end of this video, that dream will be your reality. Let me give you a quick demo to show you what I'm talking about. Picture this. You're sipping your morning coffee, you open Slack and type, "I want you to give me a brief of all of my emails." Within seconds, the AI agent responds with a neat summary of all your emails, highlighting the sender, the subject, and the main points. It's like having a personal assistant who works at lightning speed and never asks for a raise. But wait, gets better. Let's say you're swamped and you need to catch up on emails and tasks. You tell the AI agent, "I want you to read all my unanswered emails, respond to them, and add a to-do list in my Notion with all the things that I need to do from these emails." Now the AI agent goes to work. It checks your Gmail for any unanswered emails, uses OpenAI to draft responses based on guidelines that you've provided or a predefined knowledge base, sends those replies, and then extracts any tasks or actionable items from these emails. It adds those tasks to your Notion to-do list and lets you know in Slack when it's all done. How awesome is that? These examples show you just how powerful this AI agent can be. It handles both simple tasks like summarizing emails and more complex workflows that involve multiple apps. And the best part? You're controlling everything through Slack, the space where you're already communicating with your team. So let's get started on building this AI system. Now, don't worry if you're not a tech wizard. I promise to keep things simple and straightforward. Plus, I've got some tips and tricks along the way to make the process even smoother. So first things first, we need to set up a home base for our AI agent in Slack. Think of it like setting up a brand new office, but way less paperwork. Open Slack, create a new channel, and name it something like AI agent. This is where all the action is going to happen. You'll be chatting with your AI here, giving it commands like add a task to my Notion page or summarize my emails. You know, the useful stuff a super organized assistant would do. Except this one works for free and doesn't take coffee breaks. Next up, we're diving into Make.com. Never used it? Don't worry. It's basically the glue that holds all these apps together. Open your account, create a new scenario, and add Slack as your first module. This is how we get Slack and Make.com talking to each other. Now, here's where things start to get cool. When you set up the Slack module, you're going to tell it to look for messages in that AI agent channel. This way, whenever you send a message like, add a task to Notion, pick up some dog treats, the Slack module grabs it and sends it down the automation pipeline. It's like giving your AI a walkie-talkie so that it's always tuned into your requests. At this point, you might be wondering, why do we need Make.com for this? Great question. Imagine Slack is the person taking your order, and Make.com is in the kitchen making your burger. Slack gets the message, 1 double cheeseburger, hold the onions. And Make.com is back there flipping the patties and assembling your custom order. That's basically what's happening here, but with tasks, emails, and Notion updates instead of fries and soda. While setting up the Slack module, start small. Set it to process just one message at a time so you don't accidentally overload things. You don't want your AI agent suddenly drowning in a flood of commands like summarize my emails, book a flight, add a meeting, and remind me to water the plants. One step at a time, guys. Trust me, your AI will thank you. All right, now let's test it out. Go back to your Slack channel and type something simple like add a to-do item, buy coffee beans. Then switch to Make.com and hit run once on your scenario. If all goes well, you'll see that message pop up in Make.com ready to be processed. It's kind of like when you send a text and immediately get the delivered notification. It's that satisfying. Now, we're getting into the brains of this whole operation, the OpenAI module. This is where your AI agent transforms from a helpful bot into a genius assistant. Think of it like teaching your dog not just to fetch a ball, but to fetch your coffee and maybe even your slippers. That's the level of intelligence we're adding here. First, add the OpenAI module. When you're picking an action, choose Create a Completion. If you haven't connected your OpenAI account yet, don't worry, it's a one-time thing. Just head over to OpenAI site, grab your API key and organization ID, and then plug them into Make.com. I've added a video tutorial in the description that will help you do just that. So you can pause this video, watch it, and come back. Now let's talk models. You're going to use GPT-4o Mini. It's fast, reliable, and doesn't overthink things. We're not looking for Shakespeare here, just a solid interpreter that gets straight to the point. Select it in the dropdown and we're good to go. Here's where the real magic happens. The prompt. In the system prompt field, you're going to set the rules for how this AI thinks. Type something like, you are a task interpreter. Take the input text, analyze it, and convert it into a structured JSON format with subtasks. Include fields such as type, app, and description. It's like giving your AI a job description and saying, here's what you do, buddy. So when someone types, summarize my emails and add a to-do list in Notion, the AI takes that command and spits out something like this. Okay, boss, I've got 2 tasks for you. First, read emails and summarize them. Second, add a task in Notion that says, summarize emails. Except it says it in JSON, which is just a fancy way of organizing information. The output might look something like this. This structured format is like the blueprint your automation will follow, making sure every piece gets to where it needs to go. Now, let's take it up a notch. What if you want to include more details? Maybe you need to schedule something for a specific date or send a message to a specific email. Just tweak the prompt to include fields like start date, end date, or recipient email. The AI will add those into the JSON like a champ. Once you've set up the AI module, run a test. Go back to Slack, type something like add a task in Notion to prepare the sales report, and hit send. Run your scenario and watch the AI interpret that into structured data. If it works, you're officially the boss of a pretty smart assistant. Next, we need to take that shiny JSON output and actually do something with it. Enter the JSON module. Sounds intimidating, but this little guy is here to make your life easier. Add it to your scenario and select parse JSON as the action. What this does is take that structured data from OpenAI and breaks it into individual pieces your other modules can actually use. In the JSON module, you'll define a data structure. This is basically just telling the module what kind of info to expect. Add fields like type to know if it's a read or write task, app to see where the task is headed, Notion, Google Calendar, etc., and description to know what the task is. If you want to get fancy, add optional fields like start date, duration, or recipient email, but keep it simple for now. Once you've defined the structure, connect the output from the OpenAI module to the JSON module. It's like plugging your shiny new lamp into the wall. You've got all this power, but now it's ready to light up the room. Run another test. Type Add a meeting into Google Calendar for Thursday at 3 p.m. to discuss marketing strategies. The OpenAI module will process it, spit out a JSON, and the JSON module will parse that info into separate fields. For example, type equals to write, app equals to Google Calendar, description equals to add a meeting, and start date equals to Thursday at 3 p.m. At this point, you've got a well-oiled machine. Slack sends the commands, OpenAI decodes them, and the JSON module organizes everything neatly. Now you're ready to connect these outputs to your actual task manager like Notion, Google Calendar, or Gmail. And here's a fun tip. If you're feeling ambitious, you can even add a speech-to-text module before all of this. That way, instead of typing commands into Slack, you can just send a voice message and the AI will still know what to do. It's like adding a voice assistant to your already awesome AI setup. Now, save everything and run a quick test. Go back to your Slack channel and type something like, add a task in Notion to prepare the sales report. Hit send, run your scenario in make.com, and watch the magic happen. If everything is set up correctly, the JSON module will take the AI's output and spit it into clean, organized fields like the type is set to write, the app is set to Notion, and the description is set to add a to-do list item to prepare the sales report. It's kind of like opening a beautifully wrapped gift. Everything is exactly where it should be. Here's where it gets exciting. This parsed data can now flow into other modules in your workflow. For example, if it's a write action for Notion, you can pass the details to a Notion module to add a new task. If it's a read action for emails, you can route it to Gmail to fetch email summaries. The possibilities are endless, and it's all thanks to this little JSON module doing the heavy lifting behind the scenes. Now, let me give you a quick real-life scenario. Imagine you're a project manager with a packed schedule. You type into Slack, summarize my emails, and add any actionable items to my Notion to-do list. Within seconds, your AI agent decodes the request, parses it into JSON, and updates Notion with tasks like follow up with John about the budget or prepare slides for Monday's meeting. No more digging through emails or forgetting important tasks. It's all done for you. And here's a bonus tip. If you're running into errors or the JSON isn't parsing correctly, double check your data structure. Think of it like making sure you've got the right size bins for your groceries. If the structure doesn't match the input, things can get messy. Adjust the fields, test again, and you'll be good to go. Also, make sure in the OpenAI module to tell the AI to remove any HTML strings or other text that's not relevant to the JSON structure. That way, the AI will generate only valid JSON for our agent. Now that your JSON module is set up and running, you've got a rock-solid foundation. Everything is coming out of OpenAI, it's neatly organized and ready for action. From here, you can connect it to task managers, calendars, or email tools, and really start flexing your automation muscles. Let's keep building. All right, we're stepping into the world of task juggling. This is where the array aggregator and iterator take the stage. If the JSON module was like organizing your groceries into bags, the array aggregator is like setting up a delivery schedule for each bag. It bundles up your tasks and prepares them for the iterator, which will handle each one individually like a pro. First, head back to your make.com scenario and add the array aggregator module. The array aggregator takes all the subtasks the JSON module just organized and combines them into one nice, neat little list. Think of it like a waiter collecting all the orders at a table and taking them back to the kitchen at once. In the array aggregator settings, you'll need to set the source module to JSON, parse JSON. This tells the array aggregator where to pull its data from, kind of like giving it directions to the pantry. Then add the fields that you want: type, app, and description. If you've got extra details like date or duration, you can throw those in too, but let's keep it simple for now. Here's a quick tip. Run the workflow once before setting up the fields. This lets make.com pull in some sample data, which makes it way easier to map everything out. Plus, it's a good way to double check that your JSON module is working perfectly. Now, for the magic moment. The array aggregator takes all those individual task details and spits out a structured array. It's like having a shopping list that's perfectly organized and ready for action. But we're not stopping there. Next up is the iterator, which is going to handle each task one by one. Add an iterator module and set its source array to the output of the array aggregator. The iterator is like a conveyor belt at the grocery store. Each task comes down the line one at a time, making it easy to process without feeling overwhelmed. Here's how it works. The iterator grabs a task from the array, checks what needs to be done, and sends it off to the appropriate module. For example, if the task says, add a to-do item in Notion, the iterator sends that info to the Notion module. If it says, summarize my emails, it sends it to your Gmail or OpenAI. You get the idea. Now that we've got our tasks neatly lined up and ready to roll, it's time to bring in the router module. It's like a crossroads where the AI decides, okay, you're a read task. Go this way. You're a write task. Head over there. Trust me, it's as satisfying to set up as watching one of those domino chain videos. So here's what you do. Add a router module right after the iterator in your workflow. The router's job is to split things up based on what kind of task you're dealing with. Is it a write action, like adding something to Notion or scheduling a meeting? Or is it a read action, like summarizing emails or pulling a to-do list? This module is about to make those decisions for you. Let's set up the first path, write actions. Click on Router and add a filter. Name it something simple, like, is it a write action? Because, hey, clear names save lives, or at least saves you from future confusion. For the condition, set it to type equals write. This tells the router, only let tasks through here if they're about creating something. So when someone types, add a task to my Notion page, this filter catches that task and sends it down the right path. Next, we set up the second path, read actions. Add another filter to the router and call it, is it a read action? For this one, set the condition to type equals read. Now the router knows if the task involves retrieving or summarizing something, it comes this way. All right, now we're diving into the part where the magic meets the mundane, adding tasks to your Notion to-do list. Let's face it, manually updating your to-do list is like washing dishes after a party. No one wants to do it, but it has to get done. That's why we're handing this over to the AI agent. It's like having a personal assistant who not only updates your lists, but also lets you know when it's done. Nice, right? Before we dive into adding tasks to Notion, we need to get a little more organized with another router. Think of this step as setting up an extra checkpoint to make sure tasks headed to Notion are funneled correctly. First, in your make.com scenario, add another router module. Place it right after the first router. This new router is going to separate write tasks based on their destination, whether they're headed to Notion, Google Calendar, or anywhere else. Then we need to add a Notion module. Search for Notion in the app list and choose the action, append a page content. Think of this as giving your AI agent a pen and sticky notes so it can jot things down correctly onto your Notion page. Next, you'll need to connect your Notion account. Click Add, log into your Notion workspace, and grant make.com access. Once you're connected, select the page ID that corresponds to your to-do list. For example, if your page is called To-Do List, pick that one from the dropdown. If your list is named something else, like Get My Life Together, choose that instead. Now we get to the fun part, setting up the Notion module to add tasks directly to your to-do list. In the field settings, start by mapping the task title to the content generator of the AI agent. For instance, if the AI outputs, respond to John's email, that becomes the little task title. This setup transforms a simple task into a clear and actionable item, ensuring everything is organized and ready to tackle. Next, let's add another Notion module, but this time select the action List Page Contents. This step allows the AI to retrieve and review the existing task on your to-do list before adding anything new. In the page ID field, choose the page where your to-do list is located. For example, if your list is named Daily Tasks or To-Do List, select that specific page from the drop-down menu. This ensures the module fetches the correct content from the right place, keeping your workflow accurate and organized. All right, here's where things get even cooler. Add a text aggregator module to take all of the tasks, both the ones you already have in your Notion to-do list and the ones that you're adding, and combine them into one neat formatted list. In the settings, select the Notion module we just set up for list page contents as the source. This ensures that you're pulling in the right data. Now configure the bundle settings to organize the tasks. Arrange them in order, like 1, 2, 3, and make sure they're easy to read by adding spaces or line breaks between each task. By the end, your output will look something like this. Next, let's keep the communication loop going. Add a Slack module with the action Create a Message. This is how you notify yourself or your team that the tasks have been successfully updated in Notion. Choose the AI agent channel as the destination and craft a message that looks something like this. I've successfully added the following tasks to your Notion to-do list. Add your to-do list of items. Finally, it's time for the test. Run the workflow, send a command in Slack like add a task in Notion to follow up with the client, and then check that the task shows up in Notion, neatly formatted and added to the existing list. Also, make sure Slack sends you the confirmation message so you know it works. If anything looks off, tweak the setup and run it again. By now, you've got a system that not only updates your tasks, but keeps you in the loop, like a perfect assistant who always checks back with you. Hey, is this what you wanted? Let's move on now to building the next piece. Right, let's take this automation game up a notch by integrating a Google Calendar. Imagine this. Instead of fumbling around to manually schedule meetings or events, you just tell your AI agent what you need and bam, it's in your calendar with all the details ready to go. Sounds dreamy, right? Let's make it happen. First, add a Google Calendar module to your workflow. Search for Google Calendar and select the action Create an Event. If you haven't connected your account yet, no worries. Just click the Add button, sign in with your Google account, and give Make.com the green light to manage your calendar. Once you're connected, choose the calendar you want to use. Your primary calendar is a good pick unless you've got a separate one for work or personal stuff. Next, configure the event details. This is where the AI's output gets turned into an actual meeting or event. Map the event name to the event title field, for example, Team Strategy Session. Then map the start and end times to their respective fields, or use the duration field if the task specifies how long the event should be. This setup makes the process seamless, letting the AI handle everything like a pro scheduler. Now, let's keep the good vibes rolling with the confirmation message. Add a Slack module to the workflow and set the action to Create a Message. This step will send all the event details straight to your AI agent channel so that you and your team, if they're in the channel, can stay in the loop. In the message content, include all the key details, the event title, date and time, location, participants, and any links like the Google Calendar link or the Google Meet link if one is auto-generated. For example, the message might look something like this. I've set up a meeting. Here are the details. And below, all the details relevant to this meeting, like its name, date, location, participants, and more. This keeps everything transparent, so you're not left wondering if your AI agent actually did the job or just decided to take the day off. Spoiler alert, it never takes a day off. Before calling it a day, run a test to make sure everything is working. Send a Slack command like schedule a team meeting for Monday at 3 p.m. for 1 hour, and check your Google Calendar to confirm that the event appears as expected. Then look for the confirmation message in your Slack channel. Again, if something doesn't look right, maybe the time is off or a field is missing, just go back and adjust those mappings. Once it's all set, you've got an AI-powered scheduling assistant that not only creates events, but also keeps you and your team updated. Let's keep going. This workflow is shaping up to be a real game changer. All right, let's jump into the email game and turn your AI agent into a pro email handler. This step is all about retrieving emails, generating responses, and keeping everything streamlined so you don't have to deal with the clutter of your inbox. Think of it as having an assistant who not only reads your emails, but also crafts thoughtful replies and doesn't even ask for a lunch break. First, let's add a Gmail module to fetch your emails. In Make.com, search for Gmail and select the action Get Emails. Connect your Gmail account by clicking the Add button. If you're using a personal Gmail account, you might need to do a few extra steps to enable access. Don't worry, I've got a tutorial link for you. Once connected, set the folder to Inbox because, well, that's where the emails live. Now configure the module to filter for only the emails you actually care about, unread ones. Set the filter type to simple and choose the criteria as unread emails only. To make things even smarter, add a date range. Use the add days function to set it to pull emails from the last 2 days. This keeps the AI focused on the most recent messages instead of digging up that one email from 2018 about a sale that went awkward, and now it's more awkward if you respond to it. Lastly, set the max results to something reasonable, like 50, so you're not overwhelming the system. Once that's ready, run the module to test it. You should see the unread emails pop up nice and clean, just the way we want them. Next, we'll add some brain power with an OpenAI module. Select the action Message Assistant and connect your OpenAI account if you haven't already. This module will handle crafting the email responses. Use a predefined AI assistant like a customer care bot or set up a custom prompt to give the AI clear instructions. Something like, here's an email. Respond to it professionally based on the provided context. If you remember, I've done a video on setting up AI assistants in make.com. I'll add it on the right side of your screen so you can check it out if you need a refresher there. Now, map the email fields, sender, subject, and body from the Gmail module to the OpenAI module's input. This way, the AI knows exactly what it's working with. The AI will take the info and generate a response tailored to the email. It's like having a writing assistant who always knows exactly what to say. Once the AI has generated the response, it's time to send it. Add another Gmail module, this time with the action Send Email. In the settings, map the recipient's email address from the original email to the To field. For the subject, add Re to the original subject line. This keeps everything neat and avoids duplicate subjects. Then map the AI's response to the email content. Run the module to test it out and watch as your AI sends off a polished reply like a total pro. To wrap it up, let's keep you in the loop by adding a Slack module. Use the action Create a Message to notify your AI agent Slack channel that the email has been sent. Include key details in the message, like the recipient's email address, the subject, and a preview of the AI-generated response. For example, something like, I've successfully sent this email, and add the description of the task, the email subject line and body. This way, you're always in the know and can jump in if anything needs tweaking. Finally, test the entire workflow. Run it end to end. Fetch emails, generate responses, send them, and check the Slack for confirmation messages. If everything looks good, congrats, you just automated your inbox. All right, let's dive into drafting and sending those super specific emails. First, we're starting with the OpenAI module to draft the email. Add the module and select the action Create a Completion. Make sure your OpenAI account is connected and pick GPT-4o as the model. It's perfect for handling complex tasks like writing an email that doesn't sound like a robot wrote it. In the prompt, give clear instructions to the AI, something like, draft an email for the subject and recipient described below. Keep it professional, clear, and to the point. Then, map the description field from the subtask data so the AI knows exactly what to work with. The output will be in your email body, clean, well-structured, and ready to use. Make sure to save it because we'll need it in the next step. Now, let's generate a subject line to match the email. Another OpenAI module, but this time use the GPT-4o mini module. It's faster and efficient for quick tasks like this. Configure the prompt to say something like, based on the email body below, generate a subject line that captures attention and encourages the recipient to open the email. Then map the email body from the first OpenAI module as the input. The output will be your shiny new subject line, optimized to grab attention without sounding spammy. Save this too, because it's heading straight into your email. Next, it's time to send the email. Add a Gmail module and choose the action Send Email. If you haven't connected your Gmail account, go ahead and do that now. It's just a couple of clicks. For the fields, map the recipient's email address to the To field, the generated subject line to the subject field, and the email body to the content field. Set the content type to HTML to make sure the formatting looks professional. Nobody likes plain text emails with awkward spacing. Once everything is mapped, run a quick test. Send a sample email to yourself or a colleague to make sure everything looked perfect. Check the subject, body, and formatting to ensure it's polished and professional. If it's good to go, you're ready to start automating these drafts for real. Now, let's keep you informed. Add a Slack module with the action Create a Message. Select your AI agent Slack channel and configure the message to include key details like the recipient, subject, and preview of the email body. Finally, run the workflow from start to finish. Test it with a real-life scenario like drafting a follow-up email to a client or confirming a meeting. Check that the email lands in the recipient's inbox looking flawless, and make sure Slack notifies you with all the details. Once you confirm that everything works smoothly, you've officially got an AI-powered email assistant that can handle everything from drafting to delivery. All right, let's talk about fine-tuning the workflow by adding filters. This is where we give our AI agent a little more brain power, making sure tasks go exactly where they're supposed to. First, head to your workflow and look at the routes coming out of your router module. We're going to add filters to these routes to make sure the right tasks go to the right modules. Click on the first route and set up a condition. For example, if the task is related to emails, set the condition to app equals email. This ensures that only tasks flagged for email handling move down this path. It's like telling the AI, hey, emails go this way, not over there. This setup is simple but essential, ensuring every task gets routed to the correct module like clockwork. All right, let's jump into summarizing emails, because let's face it, no one likes digging through a cluttered inbox. This step is all about making your AI do the heavy lifting so you can stay on top of things without spending hours reading emails. First, add the Gmail module to your workflow. Choose the action Get Emails to pull in the unread messages. Once connected, configure the settings. Select Inbox as the folder, since that's where your unread emails live. Select the filter type to Simple and choose Only Unread Emails as your criteria, that is. Now to keep things fresh, use the Add Days function to only fetch emails from the last 2 days. Set the first variable to now and the second to -2. Finally, limit the result to 50 so you don't overload your AI. Run the module to test it. If you see the right emails pop up, you're golden. Now let's tidy up that email data with a text aggregator module. This is like organizing a messy drawer into neat little compartments. Add the module and configure it to combine key details from each email, such as the sender's name, email address, subject line, and the first few lines of the body. Format everything so it's easy to read, with clear separation between the emails. Think of it as giving your AI a clean workspace. It's all about setting it up for success. Next, bring in the OpenAI module to handle the summaries. Choose the action Create Completion and connect your OpenAI account. Select ChatGPT 4o as your model. It's great for considering information without losing the important stuff. In the prompt, tell the AI exactly what you need. Summarize the following emails. Include key points like sender, subject, and main content. Format the summary in bullet points for clarity. Keep the max tokens at 500 to ensure it doesn't run out of space while processing the data. Map the aggregated email content into the input field and let OpenAI do its thing. Run the model to test it. You should see a concise, bullet point summary come out ready to share. Finally, let's send that shiny new summary to Slack. Add a Slack module and set the action to create a message. Choose the AI agent channel as the destination and craft a message that says something like this. Here's your email summary. And the text OpenAI generated for you with the summarized email thread. This way, you're always in the loop without having to switch between apps. Run the workflow one more time to test everything end to end. If the summary pops up in Slack looking clean and organized, you're set. All right, now we're diving into setting up Google Calendar searches. This step is going to pull all of your upcoming events, clean them up, and deliver them straight to Slack in one nice, tidy message. Let's do this. First, add the Google Calendar module to your workflow. Select the action, Search Events. Set the calendar ID to your primary calendar unless you're working with a shared one. Next, configure the filters. Map the start date and end date fields to your subtask properties. This tells the workflow the exact time frame to search. For example, if the subtask asks for events this week, these dates will zero in on just that. Save your settings and test it. If everything's working right, you should see a list of events that match the criteria. Now let's clean up that event data so it's actually readable. Add a text aggregator module and set the Google Calendar module as the source. In this module, combine the key details for each event: title, location, participants, Google Meet link if available, and any description. Format it into a neat little package, something like this. Once you've got the data organized, it's time to give it some flair with OpenAI. Add an OpenAI module, choose the Create Completion action, and connect your OpenAI account. Use the ChatGPT 4o module for this because it's great for summarizing multiple items without losing key details. Configure the prompt to say something like this: summarize the following events. Include the event title, location, participants, and key details in bullet points. Then map the aggregated event data into the prompt. Set the token limit to something like 500 to keep the summary concise but thorough. Run a quick test, and you should see a polished, easy-to-read summary pop out. Finally, let's keep you updated by posting a summary to Slack. Add a Slack module and select the action Create a Message. Choose your AI agent Slack channel and craft the message to include the event summaries. For example, here are your upcoming events. And here you'll put your event summaries. Run the workflow from start to finish to make sure it's all working smoothly. When you test it, check Slack to see if the event summary showed up the way that you want. If everything looks good, you're officially set. Now your AI agent is not just handling your emails, it's also keeping your schedule organized and delivering it straight to Slack like a personal assistant that never forgets. All right, next up, let's get your Notion to-do list working seamlessly with your AI agent, because who doesn't love having all their tasks neatly listed without lifting a finger? This step will pull your Notion tasks, organize them, and send the list straight to Slack. Let's get into it. First, add the Notion module to your workflow and select the action List Page Contents. Once connected, choose the page ID where your to-do list lives. If you're not sure which page it is, look for the one where you usually dump all your tasks. Yeah, that's the one. Set the limit to 100 items, unless your to-do list rivals the length of a novel, in which case, adjust it to whatever makes sense for you. When you run this, the module will fetch all your tasks, including their titles, descriptions, and positions. Next up, let's make those tasks look clean and readable. Add a text aggregator module from the Tools section. Select the Notion module as the source so it pulls the tasks we just retrieved. In the configuration, include details like the order of the tasks, their titles, and any descriptions attached to them. Think of this step as formatting your grocery list so you don't end up with milk in 3 different places. Structure it so each task is numbered and separated for clarity, something like this. Now it's time to share this beautifully formatted to-do list with your Slack channel. Add a Slack module and choose the action Create a Message. Connect it to your AI agent channel, the one that's been keeping you updated on all your workflows. In the message body, add the aggregated to-do list. You can say something simple like, here's your current to-do list, and add our formatted to-do list from our last module. Finally, save the module and test everything out. Run the workflow and check Slack to see if your tasks are neatly listed. If everything looks great, you've just automated another part of your life. The final step of building this agent is to add filters. Filters are the secret sauce that makes sure every task gets routed to the right app, whether it's Notion, Google Calendar, or Gmail. First, head over to your router module, click on one of the connections leading out of it, and add a new filter. Give it a name that makes sense, like Notion filter if it's for Notion tasks. Trust me, you'll thank yourself later when you're debugging and don't have to play guess which filter does what. Now, let's set up the condition. In the filter settings, choose the field app, or however your task source identifies the destination. Then set the condition to is equal to, and type in the app's name, like Notion. Basically, you're telling the workflow, only let tasks through here if they're specifically for Notion. Do the same thing for the other apps, Google Calendar and Gmail. Think of these filters as bouncers at a club. checking the app's name before letting the task in. Here's a pro tip. Run a test with a sample task for each app. For example, send a command like add a task to Notion, finish presentation slides, and watch it travel through the router. Hit the Notion filter and land in your Notion module. If it works, congrats. You've got a fully functional routing system. If not, double check your filter conditions to make sure they're set up correctly. And that's it. There you have it. This AI agent setup is super efficient because it brings together all your tools into one seamless workflow, cutting out unnecessary manual work and making life easier. No more jumping between Gmail, Google Calendar, or Notion. It's all managed from one spot. Also, there's the time-saving magic here. The Google Calendar and Gmail modules to do all the heavy lifting when it comes to scheduling or sending emails. They grab details like event names, dates, descriptions straight from your task commands and create events and emails automatically. The best part? It scales beautifully. The iterator module handles multiple subtasks like a champ, breaking them down into bite-sized pieces so nothing gets overlooked. Filters and routers are super adaptable too. In short, this setup takes care of the hard stuff so you don't have to. It's efficient, reliable, and honestly pretty cool to see in action. If this video helped you even a little bit, don't be shy. Smash that thumbs up, hit subscribe, and turn on these notifications so you're always in the loop when a new video drops. Trust me, you don't want to miss out on what's coming up next. Now, if you're sitting there thinking, hey, this is awesome, but I need even more automation wizardry in my life, I've got you covered. Check the link in the description below. It's our school community. It's like Disneyland for automation people like us. You'll find ready-to-go templates, tons of resources, and a whole squad of guys and girls who geek out on turning chaos into smooth workflows. So keep it simple, work smarter, not harder, keep building, keep automating, and keep crushing it out there. Thanks for hanging out with me today, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.